Welcome to this week's Legal Talk, our first one for the month of August with Hahn and Hahn attorneys. And today joined by Jaco Hamman from Hahn and Hahn, discussing a very hot topic this week about the Competition Commission. Did the Competition Commission compel Uber Eats and Mr. D to change the way they do business? That's the question we're asking today. Jaco, first of all, hello and welcome.
Hi, Ian. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
Also well, thanks, man. Especially with the Competition Commission and they finally having the report ready. Yeah, so it's all the way good. We are running around and yes, it's all fun and games.
Okay, so we heard it in the news of the Competition Commission's online intermediation platforms market inquiry. Can you just briefly tell us a bit more about this inquiry, Jaco?
Yeah, so in short, the Competition Commission launched an inquiry during 2021 in relation to this online intermediation platforms. Now, it's three long words, online intermediation platforms. Now, in short, it's the platforms that are electronic platforms such as Google, Takealot, Mr. D, Uber Eats, and etc. Now, these platforms are used either through one's smartphone or computer to introduce goods or services to computers. For example, you'll Google that you want to buy XYZ and Google provides you with certain results. Or you decide you want to eat in tonight and order some takeaways, and you go on the app of Mr. D or Uber Eats and you say you want to order food. Now, that platforms that we talk about, that is an online intermediation platform.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, and what was it that the Competition Commission wanted to find out initially?
Now, the Commission had reason to believe that there might be some features of these platforms that may distort or restrict competition. Now, they said that in order to achieve the purposes of the Act, including your SMEs and historically disadvantaged persons, they wanted to hold this inquiry to see what is happening and what do they use and what's the business model behind it and that sort of thing.
Okay, and then what was the finding in relation to Uber Eats and Mr. D? That's quite interesting.
Now, what the consumers, those that don't already know it, need to know and realize is that when you order through Uber Eats or Mr. D, you actually pay more for your food than you would have if you order directly with them. Let's say, for argument's sake, you go onto the app and now you find some of the leading restaurant chains. Let's take example McDonald's. Now, for a McDonald's burger that you find through Uber Eats or Mr. D, if you look at that versus the price that you would pay if you walk into a McDonald's, there's a difference. It's more expensive for Mr. D and Uber Eats than straight away from your McDonald's. Now, funny enough, I originally, when I started using it, didn't realize it because I didn't go and check the prices. And I just thought, but these days it's expensive to order in. And then later on I realized, but it's more expensive through Mr. D and Uber Eats than ordering directly through McDonald's. Now, this is one of the things that the Competition Commission found and said that Uber Eats and Mr. D needs to notify the consumers that this is, in fact, what they are doing. Now, Uber Eats and Mr. D is at the moment, they are the leading platforms when it comes to food delivery. Now, there's one other, let's call it a national food delivery platform, and that's a company by the name of Bolt Food that is busy entering the markets. Now, when the Commission conducted their inquiry, they saw that there were certain of these national food chain restaurants that was restricting their franchisees from using other platforms. Now, if I say other platforms, let's say for argument's sake, there's a new company in one of the smaller towns. Let's take, for example, Bloemfontein. And now there's a guy in Bloemfontein that now creates his own app, and he now wants to list these national restaurant chains, for example, like I gave McDonald's, on his app, so that people can download his app and use his app as well. But they realized that certain of these national restaurant chains prohibited their franchises from using them. So as a result of that, and then of course that leads to competition, because now Uber Eats and Mr. D, they control the markets, albeit not through themselves necessarily, but through these national restaurant chains. So the Competition Commission has now ruled in their remedial action that restaurant chains are no longer allowed to restrict their franchisees from using these smaller platforms that doesn't have a national footprint. That doesn't mean, however, that the national, let's call it the franchisor, can't still have minimum service standards that these smaller platforms can use. Because on the one hand, it's a good thing to say, well, look, we don't want to prevent the competition between these platforms, but there's a balancing act between the two. Because let's say, for argument's sake, you've got now a platform in Bloemfontein, the example that I used, but the delivery motorbikes that he has doesn't comply with health and safety standards. Now, the competition can't on the one hand say, but franchisee or franchisor, you're not allowed to tell the franchisee that he can't use that platform, but simultaneously that platform doesn't comply with necessary legislation. I mean, then that can't be. You have to the franchisor has to comply with legislation. So that's why they've put in those restrictions. Now, just on the remedial action that the Competition Commission has now found, I mean, the Mr. D and Uber Eats and everyone that's affected by this report has 20 days to file an appeal on this. So one might still see in the next 20 days, and one will see whether some of the Mr. D or Uber Eats or Takealot or Google or whatever the case may be that is affected by this report, whether they appeal it or not. So we'll watch that space. Yeah, but for the moment, which is very good for me on the one hand, is to say that Mr. D and Uber Eats have to notify the consumers that this is that they are paying more for the services, so that the consumer knows of it. And the other thing is to say that, look, we have to allow new entrants into the market for the platforms. Now, on the report, your listeners can download it. They can go to the Competition Commission's website. I mean, they can Google, funny enough, they can Google Competition Commission.
Yeah.
And then use online intermediation platform market inquiry, or if they then use another search engine besides Google, they can do the same thing, and they'll find the result. So, and then they can have a read through that as well. But I mean, what we'd like to do is again next week on your show, we'll have a next session, and then we'll look a bit at Google and the App Store and the Play Store, because all these are also platforms, and what the Competition Commission found in relation to that.
That's so interesting, Jaco. Thank you so much. Looking forward to next week. And I think the next 20 days or so will also be interesting when they file those appeals. And I don't know whether it's going to turn into a long, drawn-out affair. Who knows?
Yeah, look, I think on the one hand, the upside is that the Competition Commission engaged with the leaders in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So they engaged with Uber Eats and Mr. D, and they engaged with the national big chain and international big chain restaurants as well to get their the input from it. Now, I mean, whether those national restaurant chains or Mr. D and Uber Eats, to what extent they engaged with the commission and whether the commission took those things of theirs into account from a reading of it, of the reports they did. So the only question is whether these guys are satisfied with the final report, because I mean there was an interim report and those findings was shared and opportunities was provided. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Now in these appeals, let me just say this. I mean, the first question that the tribunal will ask is to say, well, let's say for argument's sake, Mr. D, they now come and they want to appeal it. They'll say, okay, but tell me what you told the commission when they engaged with you. And then based on that, there will be a determination. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who does what and if. But yeah, let's talk next week on the effect that it has on Google and the App Store and Play Store, and then take it from there.
Excellent. We'll keep a close eye on the story and monitor it as we go along. Jaco, thank you so much. Jaco Hamman from Hahn Attorneys. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Ian. Same to you as well. All the best.
Are you or your business in trouble and struggling to find a solution? Call Hahn & Hahn Attorneys as we assist clients in finding solutions. We specialize in consumer and food law, commercial and construction law, forensic investigations and administrative law. Visit hahnlaw.co.za. That's HAHN. We assist clients nationwide. Hahn & Hahn Attorneys, because we care. Don't miss Legal Talk with Hahn & Hahn Attorneys, Wednesday mornings at 10 on eRadio.